So one of my most requested experiments is, can you pop popcorn inside of resin? So I raided the kitchen cupboard and I found myself some kernels. So the plan for this one is going to be quite easy. We just need to know if this kernel will pop from the heat that's generated during the curing process of the resin. So I've gone ahead and already poured myself a base layer, so all I have to do now is pop a couple of these kernels on top, pour some resin, and we'll see what happens. What do you reckon, Jake? Should we do 2 or 3?
I reckon we'll do 3.
Alright. Since we need to generate a little bit of heat for this one, I'm going to go ahead and use some arc cast. We'll just try and get these a bit more in the middle, and then we'll go pop it in the pressure pot. While that's in the pot curing, we need to start work on our second blank. Now I have a feeling that those kernels may not pop from the heat from the resin, so just in case they don't, I've made some other castings with some voids inside. So all we have to do is pop some kernels in and glue these together. I think this one's going to be our best chance of having these kernels pop, so I reckon we go with 3 again. That way when they do, this void's going to be cram-packed full of popcorn. So now that our blank's all glued, the next thing we need to do is put this on the lathe and turn it down. That way we'll have a nice view when we put this in the microwave.
Hey Dad, can I have a go at that?
Yeah, if you want. Lift the flap and push the green button. Remember, just take your time.
Oh, no.
So it's now time for Jake and I to pull this casting out of the pot. Now you guys have already seen what happened, but we have no idea. What do you think's going to happen?
Honestly, I reckon nothing's happened, but can't wait to find out.
Me too. I don't think anything's happened either. Are you ready?
Go.
Well, just as we thought, nothing. Stayed exactly the same. Well, I guess we can still put this in the microwave and see if we can get something to happen. Well, it's now the moment we've all been waiting for. Will these guys pop?
In the microwave.
Alright, Jake, what do you think's going to happen? Do you think we'll even get a little split out of these?
Nah, I don't reckon anything's gonna happen.
Well, that's a minute. We've got nothing so far. What do you think, Jake? How long should we go for?
Oh, keep it on for at least.
Whoa!
Oh, there we go.
Well, we got some action. Oh, and we're smoking. Oh,
You can smell the popcorn.
I can smell popcorn. Oh wow, that smells great. All right, let's shut it down there. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's making some wicked noises. Well, I didn't expect that. We had one kernel fully explode, cracking the resin. We started to burn the second one, the third one not so much, but I just can't believe there was enough force to split this. Check out how cool this explosion looks. Well, after seeing how much damage one kernel can cause, I can't wait to see what happens with the three in the void. Alright, Jake, after seeing that last one, surely these are going to pop straight away.
Oh, definitely.
That's 30 seconds. I see smoke. It's smoking in there. Oi. There's a minute. Oh.
Oh.
Alright, I'm going to shut it down. Well, can you believe that? 3 kernels absolutely blew this thing apart.
I know, right? Who would have thought popcorn would have had this much force?
I know, it's bloody crazy. So this week's experiment should be fairly simple to make. All we need to light this match are 3 things: heat, fuel and oxygen. Now for the heat source, I've got myself one of these high-powered lasers. It's even got a little key on the back here to turn it on. Now if that fails to do it, I've got myself a trusty magnifying glass. For our fuel source, we'll obviously be using our matches. And the last thing we need is oxygen. Now because we're going to cast these matches in solid resin, we're going to have to create a void. And I'm going to do that with this container. Now unfortunately this container is made of plastic and will most likely melt in the resin. So what I need to do is take some silicone. I'm just going to use ArtSil. I'm going to make a copy of this. That way we can get our voids. Now that we have the voids made, I can start getting the resin ready, and for that I'll be using art cast. Now my plan here is to put a toothpick through the void and suspend it in the cup just off the bottom. Now we'll just pop these in the pressure pot and we'll check on them later. So now that we've got our two halves, the next thing I need to do is drop a match in here and join them together. But before I do that, I just need to sand off this lip. I think to give this match every chance of lighting, I'm going to turn it into a cylinder on the lathe and then polish it up. So it's now the moment we've all been waiting for. Can we light it up? Well, I've had the laser running for a good 5 minutes now, and it doesn't look like it's doing anything. I've got the focal point right on the head of the match, but it just doesn't seem to be working. So I think we're going to have to go for plan B, the magnifying glass.
Ah, crap.
Well guys, we've had some pretty ordinary weather the last few days, but the sun's just finally come out, so I'm going to take my magnifying glass and see if we can get it to light. Okay, the sun's finally come out. Let's see if we can light it up. Looks like the focal point's right on there. It is starting to get late afternoon, so the sun doesn't quite have that same intense heat to it. Wow! We did it! It worked! Check that out. The cylinder's now filled with smoke. Well guys, we did it! We managed to light a match encased in resin. How cool is that? You can even still see the smoke inside. Most of you probably already know what happens when you put a light bulb inside of a microwave. But what happens if we cast that light bulb in resin? Will it still do the same thing? So most of you guys will probably remember when we cast gallium inside a resin and then put it in the microwave. Now unfortunately the gallium didn't really do too much, but we did manage to create this hotspot. And since then a lot of you guys have been asking me to do a light bulb inside a resin, because as we know a bulb will light up inside a microwave, and we're all kind of assuming that the resin is acting as an insulator, preventing the microwaves from penetrating in, so we're wondering whether a light bulb cast inside a resin will still light up. I decided to get a few different styles of bulb. I got the incandescent type, I got these energy savers, and I've also got LED. Now chances are LED are not going to work, but I know if I don't try it, everyone's going to ask for it. Now the reason I bought two of these is so that we can run two tests. One with a bulb inside a resin and one out of resin. That way we can see the difference. A lot of you guys also suggested that my microwave was underpowered, so I got myself a new one. Well, it's not really a new one, I did borrow it from the kitchen, just don't tell Nicole. But this one is 1100 watts. I have already done some prep work for this experiment. I've poured myself some resin base layers, that way we got something for the light bulb to sit on. Now that the bulbs are all glued in, we can get the resin ready. What's your prediction, guys? Do you think this is actually going to work? Or do you reckon it's going to be a bust? Let me know in the comments. Now I'll pop these in the pressure pot and we'll check on them later. Now that we've got our blanks out of the pressure pot, there's one more thing I want to do before we stick them in the microwave. I'm going to put these on the lathe and turn them down. I'm going to get rid of all these ridges, that way we get a nice clear view of what's going to happen inside. I think these turned out pretty cool. I'm glad I took the extra time to shape them up. It's now the moment that we've all been waiting for, but before we get stuck in, I just want to remind you guys, please don't try this at home. I've got all the safety equipment on hand, just in case something goes wrong. So for this first test, we're going to take the incandescent light bulb outside of resin and see if it lights up. Check that out. It lit up alright. Now it looks like it, oh no, it's still going. Oh, right, let's shut it down. Well, that was a pretty good base test. Now we know what we're looking for with the resin one. What do you think, guys? Do you reckon it's going to work? Oh wow! It's working! It's working way better than the other. Whoa! Check it out. That is so bright. Holy crap, that is bright. Whoa. Let's stop that one. Check that out. That is such a cool effect. It actually started to crack the bottom out because there's such a thin layer there. But wow, I did not expect that to happen. Next up, we'll try the LED. Now, I've got to admit, I think nothing's going to happen with this one except maybe a bit of sparking from the metal base. Whoa, check it out. Well, that was pretty cool. We got ourselves a little fire with that one. Those LEDs must have caught a light. There is one other thing I forgot to mention. I do have good ventilation in here because you don't want to breathe any of this smoke in. I still don't think anything's really going to happen with this LED version. I really can't see it catching on fire while it's encased in resin. There was a couple of little sparks going on in there. Nothing too crazy. So we'll let that one run for a minute. Now we really didn't get too much sparking, definitely didn't light up. All that we really did was crack the bottom of the resin there. It's now time for the second of the incandescents. Now if I had to take a stab in the dark, I reckon this will be exactly the same as the first one. Well, that was a minute, so I don't think we were going to get any more than that. Wow, that actually held up quite good. I'm really surprised. Let's see if the resin version holds up just as good. Here we go, we got some light. Nice and bright too. We just cracked the resin. Now we're strobing.
Well, that one put on an awesome little light show. Look at those little fractures at the bottom of the glass. So we're now down to our last bulb, the energy saver. I've got to admit, this is the one I've been waiting for.
Wow, that's awesome. Smoking a lot though.
You can see here that this is where the plastic melted and the light bulb failed. So it's now the grand finale. What do you guys reckon? Is it going to look just as good?
Here we go. Look how bright that is. Wow, that's amazing.
I let this one run for an extra minute, but we didn't get any more action out of it.
Well, I've got to admit, this experiment turned out way better than I had hoped. Considering how much resin there was around the bulbs, they lit up so well. So there are a couple of ways we can do this. Now the first one, and probably the most easiest one, is going to be for me to mix my resin. We're going to degas it since we're not going to put it in the pressure pot. Then I'm going to pour it in, and once it gets warm and jelly-like, I'll try and force the ice cube into the middle. Now if that doesn't work, the next thing I'll try is pouring a base layer, letting that set, then we'll get the ice cube on top, pour some more resin, and we'll see if that works. But I really do hope the first way works best. I'm also going to add a couple of drops of blue dye. I don't think this cup's got enough room to degas, so I'm going to have to put it in a bigger one. So now that we've degassed the resin, it becomes a waiting game. I'm just going to wait for this resin to thicken up. Once I feel the time is right, we'll jam our ice cube in. I've just had a thought. If this ice cube continually wants to float, I'm going to have to find a way of keeping it down until it sets. So I've got this clear rod, so if we do have to use it, hopefully it'll disappear a little bit and we won't notice it too much. But we'll just have to see what happens. It's got to be getting close. It's getting really warm now. There's going to be a fine line between it being good and then just set, so we're not going to have a big window here. I think I better get the ice ready. I really do hope this works. It will be really interesting to see how fast the ice melts in there. Now we're getting a bit of steam. I'd say we're getting really close. Here goes. Not just yet. I'm actually creating some bubbles in here, which isn't good, but it's the only way we're going to find out when it's ready. Alright, I'm going for it. Here goes. Alright, I think we're in the middle. Alright, it's in. That's it. That's all we can do. Doesn't look too bad. We're just gonna have to wait and see now. We'll let this cool down and set. Then we'll take a closer look. Most of you guys probably remember when I made the shaving brush with whiskey inside, or the bottle opener with beer. Now those two projects were done by pouring two separate layers of resin. And now I've been able to do it in one. I think before we take a closer look, I might put this on the lathe, we'll turn it down, we'll give it a polish, and then we'll have a look. I really hope I don't cut too deep. I guess if you see me get wet, you know I've gone too deep. I think that looks pretty good. I stayed dry, that's a good thing. Now I'm going to start sanding it and polishing it. Alright guys, are you ready to see this? Check it out. I think that turned out pretty good. Before you guys watch this video, I just want to mention that if anyone's a little bit squeamish, you might want to fast forward a bit, maybe to around the 6-minute mark. Well, the day has finally arrived. I'm going to cut open this raw egg that I casted over 12 months ago. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting a long time for me to do this, so I want you to pause this video, go leave a comment, and let me know what you think's inside. Do you think it's scrambled eggs? Do you think it's rotten eggs? Or do you think it's going to be okay? I need to find a tool to cut this open, so while I go look, you guys can sit back and take a look back at how I made it. So now that you guys are up to speed and you know how I got to this point, it's time to cut it open. I thought about maybe using a saw or a chisel, but I think the safest way is an angle grinder. Now I will be wearing a face shield, but that's mainly because it's got a GoPro mount on the top here that I can use. The only other thing I'll have on hand is my evacuation bucket. I can't believe this day has finally arrived. I must admit, I'm a little nervous. I shouldn't be. I've made hundreds of videos. Why should this one be any different? Well, I've got to admit, this feels like a bittersweet situation. I've been waiting for this day. Oh, I just don't know. I don't know if I want to do it. Alright, can't believe I'm about to do this. So let's just do it. Well, I'm good. Alright, we're back. I had to take the clamp off. Let's keep going. No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. This is Ben from the past. If you're watching this clip, it means this little bugger was more destructive than I thought, and I'm probably using the evacuation bucket. But don't worry, I'll be back with you shortly. Oh God. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Oh my God. No, look. I've actually cooked a bit of the egg white. You can see it on the side there. That's a bit of cooked egg white. Oh God, it smells so bad. Man, you guys are lucky you don't have smell-o-vision. Look at that, you can actually see the cooked part. I might even be able to scoop this out. Check that out. That's all cooked. There's the yolk. There's the egg white. So there definitely was enough heat in that resin to start cooking the egg. Well, that certainly is interesting. I did not expect it to be that cooked. I thought a bit of it maybe, but not that much.